A couple people have asked me how to route the wires cleanly, so I'm going to show here on this bike with just the tank installed. Typically, to clean up the front cabling and wires, we'll tuck the wire behind the headlight, and if you cross them over, like if you run the brake line crossed over behind the headlight and then through the opposite side, and the same with the clutch lever cable behind the headlight on the opposite side, you can see it's a little cleaner. When you're routing the wiring down the backbone, make sure you route it underneath the frame rail. On the bottom of the frame rail helps the most. Then on the back here, this is where it gets a little tricky. Your battery box and all your wires here. It gets a little packed in. The rectifier, we run the two connectors up top through the hole in the battery box, like that. Taillight wiring. Typically this will be here next to the battery. Your battery ground, you'll relocate it to either these top ones or one of the top engine bolts on that side so that the ground cable reaches. Positive cable, typically I can run it down the back battery box, and there's enough room where it'll reach the starter after the starter solenoid. And everything else gets routed to the left side of the bike. As long as your connectors and your wiring, your CDIs stuck to the side of the battery box, are pressed pretty close against the bike, and everything's tucked in nicely, you shouldn't have any problem on the side covers. The main thing you want to look out for is underside here, on the bottom side of the battery box, you have access to the tabs where the thumb screws go for the side covers. There's really no rewiring. The only thing is tapping in the brake light and extending the key switch. That's pretty much it. I think people get daunted by the wiring because they pull the whole bike apart and it's all sitting there in one big pile. But once you kind of stretch it back out, there's really not a lot to it. Hope that helps.